Hello, very good morning. Thanks for joining the session. Let me share my screen. Hope you are all able to see my screen, I believe. Let us start from the course content and let's going further discuss about the tools and how we can set up the cluster and all. We'll discuss. Okay, first the course content. What we will cover. So we will discuss about the container orchestration. We are now discussing about the container orchestration tool called Kubernetes. So we'll understand what is Kubernetes and why Kubernetes. So here we have a famous interview question as well. Like, cluster, of course, what is cluster and what is cluster and what is node, and on these two we have a famous interview question. And also here why we are going for the Kubernetes, though we have the other container orchestration tools available in the market, but why we are going for this Kubernetes, we need to strongly justify for the interviewer questions here. So we'll discuss about, first of all, what is Kubernetes and why Kubernetes. What is the motivation for writing this Kubernetes framework or tool? So these things we'll discuss. Then we'll discuss what is cluster and what is node. Because throughout our Kubernetes, we'll discuss about the cluster node. We pronunciate this cluster node cluster. Every day we'll say cluster node, cluster node. So what is node? What is cluster? So these things we'll discuss. Then Kubernetes architecture we'll discuss. One is the master. Kubernetes architecture is a master worker architecture. Of course, when we say it as a cluster, there will be a master, meaning orchestrator, and there will be the workers. So Kubernetes architecture is a master-slave architecture. We'll discuss about what is the master node and what are the components that gonna install on the master node, the usage of each and every component, and why it is there on the master node is what we will discuss here. This is very important interview topic, and also important topic for understand the entire cluster. If you don't understand these components properly, meaning why they will use and what is the purpose of these components, we can't understand the Kubernetes cluster working nature. Similarly, what is worker node and what are all the components that gonna install on the worker node, usage of each and every component on the worker node. So we'll discuss about the Kubernetes cluster architecture. Kubernetes cluster architecture is a master slave architecture. So we'll discuss the best practices to have this Kubernetes cluster architecture, meaning single master, multi-worker, or multi-master, multi-worker. What is the best architecture? So that we will discuss here in this Kubernetes cluster architecture. Then once the Kubernetes architecture we discussed, then we will install the Kubernetes. Of course, what I'll discuss is, first I will install the Kubernetes cluster, then we'll discuss about its cluster architecture so that you can see all these components in the installation. Okay, so Kubernetes installation we will do for two environments. One is single node deployment installation using Minikube for dev environment. Second one is multi-node or high available development using kubeadmin for production environment. And here we will use cloud providers also. cloud provided Kubernetes cluster. Cloud provided K8s cluster. Cloud provided K8 cluster like EKS, Elastic Kubernetes Service, or GKS. So these two things also we'll discuss. Cloud provided. So you may have now question, sir, cloud provided meaning what? Yes, don't think much about it now. Cloud provided in the sense readily available Kubernetes cluster installed and then provided for us. We just need to use it. We don't need to worry about installation of the Kubernetes cluster by taking the sufficient memory, sufficient nodes, and infrastructure. Everything we don't need to worry. Everything will be there, and we just need to use it. That's it. But this is the cost prone, right? A lot of cost incurred here, but still few clients are using this and using this as well. Meaning kubadmin is for installing the Kubernetes cluster with on our own, meaning let's say a company will provide, our client will provide the machines, cloud machines, maybe EC2 instances, or maybe Google Cloud machines, Google Cloud VMs or Azure VMs, whatever it is, they will provide the VMs. In the VMs, we need to set up the Kubernetes cluster using this kubadmin. But if we go for this E case and G case, we even no need to do that. Already readily available setup will be there on the cloud providers. We just can use them. But compared to it, it will be heavy cost prone. But still, customers are paying for it. So we'll discuss about the cloud provided Kubernetes cluster as well. Then, like while we are working, we need to know the usage of the integrated development environments, isn't it? For example, when we are writing the Docker files, we have used the Visual Studio Code, VSC. And when we are writing the, of course, Java guys, when writing the Java application, they might have used the IDE like Eclipse or Spring Tool Suite. Why we have taken the support of IDEs? Because our job will be easier. The IDEs will have the control assistant, content assistant. Content assistance meaning if you type something, it will give you what is the syntax, what is the definition, right? All those things the IDE will give us. Similarly, for the Kubernetes development, here development in the sense, for the Kubernetes, we need to write our application manifest file. Like this, we need to write them. So like this, we need to write the YAML files. So here, see, for the database, we need to write these YAML files. And for the application, we need to write this YAML file. So these many YAML files we need to write, and hence we will use the IDE called Lens IDE we will use. And also we have Lens IDE is what? Standalone. That means we need to install the Lens IDE in our local, in your Windows machines. We have to install the Lens IDE and then we need to connect to this cluster. So what I mean to say is, let's open the draw.io tool to draw this diagram, just to let you know. Let me create a new diagram. It's cluster, create, just save. One moment, let me draw the diagram, how the Lens IDE will help us basically. So Kubernetes cluster we have, this is, let's say the Kubernetes cluster we're going to set up. And to that, I'll give you the time to ask your questions and all. Definitely, please keep your questions with you for now. When I'll give the time, then we'll discuss about your questions and all. Okay, but I'll speak with you, all of you folks. Okay, now here is the Kubernetes cluster architecture, and we'll have the, let's say, our Windows machine. So this is our Windows machine, assume. Now, what we will do here, we will install the Lens IDE here. So we'll install this Lens IDE. So we'll install the Lens IDE here. Now, what this Lens IDE is doing, this Lens IDE will connect to this cluster, and we can write the YAML files. These many YAML files we can write easily here because it will give us the syntax and all, and we can easily deploy in the cloud. We can easily see the cloud resources, when the Kubernetes cluster resources inside this IDE. So sorry, we can manage this Kubernetes cluster, and we can see the Kubernetes resources. We can manage this Kubernetes resources from this IDE, like creation of the manifest files, deployment of the manifest files, and we can see the Kubernetes architecture components, and we can manage them, like shutting down or starting up or viewing the logs, right? So we can manage this entire Kubernetes cluster from this Lens IDE. This is the standalone IDE that we need to install. Of course, we can install this IDE on Linux also. Both the flavors are available. Similar to this Lens IDE, there is one more IDE called Rancher. One more IDE called Rancher. This Rancher is not a standalone IDE. This Rancher is a web application. We need to install the Rancher in one of the server. Let's say here we need to install the Rancher, and this Rancher will connect to our cluster, so that no matter whether your machine or others machine, anyone can access this Rancher cloud application and then work with this Kubernetes cluster. So this is, we need to install in our local. Every developer or every DevOps engineer need to install this Lens IDE in their local workstations. Here, this is the cloud application, meaning we need to make it as a cloud. Meaning we need to install the Rancher in the one of the EC2 instances or one of the Google Cloud VMs or Azure VMs, and all the team members can use this Rancher IDE to manage the Kubernetes cluster. Whereas here, only a dedicated machine owner or the machine user can manage the cluster using this IDE. This is standalone one. This is the web one. You got it, right? So in order to work with any of the tool or anything, definitely we need the IDE support to make it very fast, and also to make it, and also to get the readily available syntaxes and all, in order to avoid the mistakes and then error proofs. Okay. The prerequisite to know about this Kubernetes is the container orchestration process. No matter whether you have the Docker, no matter whether you have the OpenShift, no matter whether you have any other knowledge, but container knowledge, container orchestration knowledge is prerequisite for this Kubernetes. Okay, I'm now discussing about the Kubernetes course content. Let me talk about the prerequisites as well, maybe after this course content discussion. Fine. So next, once after the Kubernetes installed, let's say we install the Kubernetes, and we connected to the Kubernetes cluster using this Lens IDE and also using this Rancher IDE. Then what next? Now everything is ready. Then we will study the core concept of the Kubernetes. Core concept, meaning what is namespace? What is namespace in Kubernetes? Why we use the namespaces in Kubernetes, right? So we will discuss about these namespaces. If you can see here, we have a namespaces YAML file here. You can see. No need to worry. This YAML is very easy to write. See, kind namespace. The name is vShopify app ns. And if you can see, there is one more namespace. One more namespace. Kind namespace, and it is vShopify dpas. What does this mean? What does this mean is this Kubernetes cluster is there, right? This Kubernetes cluster we will partition logically. We will partition this Kubernetes cluster logically. So this is one partition and this is another partition. Here, let's say this is the app namespace and this is the DB namespace. Of course, maybe this is the day one. Discuss about this, maybe not the right one here, but I'll try to set you up the expectation. That's the reason I'm discussing this. So in DBNS, only database related stuff will be deployed. So whatever the database related stuff only will be deployed in this DB namespace. And in the app namespace, application related stuff will be deployed. In the app namespace, application related stuff will be deployed. And then this application related stuff is abstracted, not visible to this database related stuff, but both need to be communicate each other in the cluster. So the benefit of this namespaces is partitioning the cluster into the smaller workspaces and then deploying the application or database, meaning deploying the applications with the abstraction. This is the benefit. Tomorrow, if another application will come, then take one more namespace and then deploy the application. That is the benefit of these namespaces. However, these namespaces and all we will discuss in depth when we talk about this Kubernetes concept. Actually, when we got this concept, we'll talk about it. And workloads is another concept. Workload is what just a title, but the concept is what is the workloads overview? What are the parts? Replication controller, replica set, deployment, daemon set, stateful set. There is no interview without asking questions on these workloads. Remember, there is no interview without asking the questions on this one. Our entire Kubernetes, heart of the Kubernetes, meaning in concept wise, I'm telling, heart of the Kubernetes concepts is what, this workloads. Very important. Understanding this part is very, very important. And here we will get to two famous exceptions. And interviewer will also ask those two famous exceptions and then the solution for those two famous exceptions in these parts. What are the famous exceptions you got while you are working with the Kubernetes parts and how you have solved it, right? So pod is one workload as it have little limitation, not limitation, meaning as we can't achieve something with this part, we are going for this replication controller and replica set. These both will work together. So with the replica set, we again won't achieve something. We'll go for this deployment. With the deployment, we won't achieve something. Then we'll go for this daemon sets. Not in all the cases, but in few cases. And with the daemon sets, we'll have few issues, problems. Then we'll go for the stateful set. That means this workload objects we need to understand why we are going for the next workload object, correct? As we have the pod, why we are going for the replication controller, replica sets. as we have the replica set, why we are going to the deployment, daemon sets, stateful sets. So in-depth knowledge on this is very, very required. Very, very important. If you don't understand these concepts in Kubernetes, you don't join the sessions, please. If you miss these sessions in Kubernetes, it is better you can come in the next sessions, in next batch. So these sessions are very, very important. Okay, once we understood the workloads and we got now the workloads. So let's say this is one workload, this is another workload. Just I'm taking the figures. So we discuss about these workloads. Okay, fine. Then what next? There is a concept called config map. Why we use this config map concept? Because when we are, you can also see here, we have used this config map. And here also config map is there. Database side, config map we have used. Application deployment, config map we have used. So config map have some features. It's act as a storage. So we will use the config map. Again, config map have some limitations as well, but we'll discuss about what is config map and config secrets, database passwords and all we will store in the secret in an encoding format, not encryption, encoding format. So we Shopify app secret, we Shopify DB secret. That means what? If any secret keys, passwords are there, those passwords, rather putting plain in the configuration files, we'll encode them and then put it in the secrets. And of course, there is one limitation with the secret, we'll go for the vault. So definitely everywhere when we studied about one concept, there is a merits and demerits of that concept. And if you want, we can go for the better concepts as well, meaning config map, config secrets have little issues. Few members will go for the HashiCorp vaults, or people will compromise here and then use the config map and then secrets. But however, the concept is important here. Okay. Then after this configuration, of course, here we will discuss about the resource quotas, limit ranges, and then horizontal pod auto scaling. There are concepts. This concept we will discuss. Then again, Kubernetes networking. Very, very important, this Kubernetes networking. Why? Because, here we said application is in one namespace. Database is in one namespace. And these application don't know the database, but application need to connect to database. How? Using the network, service discovery. Using the service discovery concept called service discovery. So we'll discuss about the concept of service discovery here. So how the service discovery has been given in the Kubernetes, we'll see the service discovery. So for that, we need to understand the services, endpoints, ingress, network policies, port forwarding and all. We will understand this. So here the applications in one namespace, we need to talk to applications in another namespace, we'll use a service discovery. And also when the user is accessing the application that is deployed in this Kubernetes cluster, then also we will use these services. We'll use these services. Okay, don't worry about this high-level architectures at this moment, but when the time comes, I'll explain everything. Next, storage. So again, persistent volume claims, and then storage classes. Kubernetes, most 98% of the people who are using the Kubernetes in real time, they are facing the problems with this storage. That means you may ask me a question, sir, what is the problem? Okay, we'll discuss about that problem, but the storage problem, just let me glance you in high level, the storage problem. What is the storage problem and all? Let me glance you. Now, this the applications and the database both are running here in the Kubernetes missions. Maybe worker 1, worker 2, worker 3. They are not running the master. Okay, they'll run in the worker 1, worker 2, or worker 3. We know this database data will be created, let's say, on the worker 1. Okay. Now, large amount of data is coming to this database. What will happen? Worker 1 will go slowly, meaning worker 1 will go down slowly. Isn't it? Because the data of this database is now sitting on this worker node. It's a mission, EC2 mission, like your Windows mission. When your D drive in Windows mission is getting full, how your mission behaves? Very slow. Similar concept also here. So when the database is fast filling with some OLTP operations, reports generations, whatever it is, then this data fast filling on the node. As a result, at one point, this node will go down. This mission will go down, underperforming. So this is the problem. How we can avoid these problems? Rather than storing here, store the data on some other machines, or blob storage, or EBS, or whatever, some data center, whatever it is. So, but store this data externally, not from here. Whatever the data is here, that data stored on the external servers, maybe NFS server, maybe blob server, maybe data storage server, maybe data center, no matter, but take out the data from these machines and then store it on the external storage servers. So this will resolve now the problem of the data filling on these nodes. Okay, one problem resolved. Let's say we are using Apache Kafka. In Apache Kafka, every request will be recorded as one record. I mean, one file will be generated for it. Not only one file, set of files will be generated. If that is the case, after some time, these also will get fast filled. Of course, not storing on the cluster, because now we externalize the storage. And this also at one point of time fast filled. Then we need to go for the schedulers. We need to go for the schedulers. What these schedulers will do? These schedulers will act upon this, and the logs which are older than 1 month, they will squeeze the logs. Maybe they will gzip the logs and then put the logs into the backup systems. So they'll put the logs into the backup systems. This is what is happening in the real time. Okay, now those will be put into the backup. Okay, everything is good. Now the storage is here. Now the application data is storing here. So how our Kubernetes cluster will claim this is persistent volumes and then persistent. For that, we will use the concept of the persistent volumes, persistent volume claims, and then the storage classes. Okay, then go for the security, access control. Again, this cluster, we have done the setup, right? Anyone can access the cluster? Any user can access the cluster? Or only authorized person need to be access this cluster, right? How the cluster will be secured? So that cluster security will be provided using this access control. This is very, very important. Of course, everything is important here. Next, after this security, we'll go for the Helm charts. Remember, guys, this Helm, not 100%, meaning not complete Helm I'll discuss. No, not complete Helm. I'll discuss the overview of the Helm, and I will showcase one example like how the Helm charts can be deployed and Helm chart components, how Helm works, and how we can deploy, how we can write the Helm charts, and how we can deploy it. With one example, I can showcase everything, but not Helm chart concept is around 1 month sessions if you want to go deep dive of it, but I am not going to cover a deep dive on the Helm charts. But I will give you the knowledge on Helm charts, how the Helm charts will work, how we can deploy them, architecture of the Helm charts, architecture in the sense components, how it will be maintained, managed, and how we can write the Helm charts. So this portion I'll cover. This is the final overview. Once we complete every concept, once we complete all the above concept, and this is the final overview. This also I'll cover for the guys who joining for the Kubernetes. Meaning when the developer will push the code, then the code will be built and then the code will be scanned for the vulnerabilities. Then quality gate will be here. If the quality gate is passed, the code will be moved to JFrog Artifactory or Nexus. From the JFrog Artifactory, the Docker machine will pull the artifact and then build the Docker image and then push it into the container registry. So this entire process is called as continuous integration. Then again, the developers will do the changes, not developers here, DevOps engineers, or maybe sometimes developers as well. So developers or DevOps engineers will do this changes and then commit the changes here. Then Jenkins pipeline will trigger and this pipeline will deploy the Kubernetes manifest files, which I have shown you, right? These Kubernetes manifest files, it will deploy in this Kubernetes cluster in a single one click. That means as soon as the developers will push the code, then the code, entire code, meaning code in the sense here, the files, the entire files will be copied onto this Kubernetes master machine by this Ansible, and then they will be deployed on this Kubernetes cluster. So this process is called as continuous deployment or continuous delivery. So the above process is called as continuous integration, and this part is called as continuous delivery. So the guys who are joining for the Kubernetes sessions, for them, we'll cover entire Kubernetes cluster, and I will showcase the entire pipeline. Again, I'm not discussing the in-depth of the pipelines, each and every concept of the pipeline. No, I'll set up this pipeline, and via pipeline, I'll explain how this CD will works. And also, this pipeline we will set up for the microservices architecture. Okay, so what are microservices architectures and all we'll discuss tomorrow. If you have any questions, so far, any questions? Okay. Okay. If no questions, well and good. If questions, please ask.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
So, sir, can you please tell again the prerequisite for this course?
Yeah. Prerequisites for this course is the container management tool is the prerequisite. Maybe Docker or maybe any other things. But preferably container management tools are the prerequisite. So Docker is the prerequisite. But you know, Kubernetes is not using the Docker since it's 1.24th version. Sorry, 1.23rd version, Kubernetes is not using the Docker. Rather, Kubernetes is using one more container management tool called Narsi or some other tools out there internally it is using. But here, that's the reason I'm saying container management tool is important, no matter whether it is Docker or any other. Okay, but container, what is container? How we can manage the containers? How we can run the containers? What are the images? So these concepts are prerequisite for this Kubernetes. Got it? Any more questions?
Yeah,
Sir,
and how many classes are there, sir, in this course?
Okay. The duration of these sessions are 3 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks. And sometimes I'll take the longer sessions on the Saturday and Sunday as well. Sunday if required, but Saturday I'll take the longer sessions because concepts are huge, course content is huge. This will help you to crack the Kubernetes certifications as well. And we are also gonna do this pipeline automation, right, for the microservices. So definitely it will take the more time than the expected one. I'm expecting 3 to 4 weeks. Maybe you can add 1 or 2 weeks as well to this. That's the reason to fit the course into this 3 to 4 weeks of time. I'll take the longer sessions on Sunday, longer sessions on Saturday or Sunday on need basis. But Saturday, most probably I'll go for the longer sessions. Got it? Any more questions?
sir, did you cover Dockers in this session?
Docker is not covered, only Kubernetes will be covered because Docker is already completed. So only Kubernetes will be covered in this 3 to 4 weeks of time, and in this Kubernetes session only Kubernetes will be covered. But of course, I'll Kubernetes. I'll give the high level picture on containerization. Of course, I also have to discuss these two concepts to the folks who attended the Docker. So, however, I need to discuss these concepts. What are those concepts is, 1 minute. What I'm trying to explain is, so I need to discuss container versus VM. I need to discuss Docker image internals. And I need to discuss Docker container internals. For already folks who are attending the Docker sessions. And these are all the concepts are good enough to go with the Kubernetes as well for the folks who don't know the Docker. Because this is very important. Concept is very important. However, Kubernetes is not using the Docker as well. But container management it is using. So knowing of these concepts is very important and very essential to go with the Kubernetes, and also very enough also to go with the Kubernetes. Makes sense, right? Yeah. Any more questions?
Yep, it's actually I want to go for the certification. So with the course content and with this course, what standard of certification I can go for?
Okay. So if you want to go for these certifications, we must have to practice the terms. We know deployed, but we need to know the questioning model. So how the questions are asking and all. For that, there is a third-party site called this Vislabs. These guys are offering the certification kits. For example, one moment, folks. Seems to be my internet is not good. Just give me a moment. Let me reload it. Or else
Yes,
question. Let me
sometimes voice is
showcase. Let me showcase what kind. One moment. Let us complete this. So these Vislabs guys are also there providing the trainings and all, but I'm not sure how much they will help up to the mark. But you can see here the hands-on labs. So hands-on labs on the Kubernetes certifications and also hands-on labs on the AWS certifications. These are all very good for the certifications. They are providing the hands-on labs. Now, what they are also offering these sandboxes and all. Now, what are all the certifications that we can do? So we can see the Kubernetes certifications and its cost. There is a certified Kubernetes administrator document certification is there, and then Kubernetes architect certifications also there. These are certifications. Certified Kubernetes administrator, certified Kubernetes application developer, and certified Kubernetes security specialist. So these are all the certifications available. So certified Kubernetes administrator CKA can be easily cracked with our course content. But of course, we must have to, practice the dumps. Without the dumps practice, maybe we will lose the choices of getting it. So dumps are must and should. Certified Kubernetes administrator, certified Kubernetes application developer, certified Kubernetes security specialist. 3 exams are there, and Kubernetes and Cloud Native Associate and Kubernetes Architect exams are also over there. However, at the beginning level, we can write this certified Kubernetes administrator certifications. Clear? What is the second question?
You mean to say like the first certification can be cracked with this course, right?
Correct. Certified Kubernetes administration.
If you want to go to the next level, so you will be conducting other session soon later.
Not planned actually. CKAD and then the CKA security specialist were not planned. But till the CKA only, these sessions will help. CKAD and then CKS, I have not planned yet.
Okay.
So there is a concept actually. I thought of starting the DevSecOps in future for this Kubernetes security specialist. There is a Kubernetes benchmark, CIS benchmark. That means here we have done the cluster setup. So is this cluster is secure cluster, or the objects deployed in this cluster are secure, how we can provide the security and how much they are secure. These are all ratings, rankings. These all will cover with this Kubernetes tools. Security specialist exam is talking about those tools, benchmark tools like KubeBench, KubeSec, Trivy, DocScan. A lot of tools are there. So, but I'm not in a pipeline, or maybe I'm not in a thought to conduct the courses for the 2, 3, but only for the 1 is now happening. Certified Kubernetes administrator.
Yeah, it answered my question. And what is the plan for the end date of this course? So
Yeah,
that
this
better plan at our end.
Exactly. So this is little toughest question also for me, but 3 weeks from now, meaning from 15th onwards to 3 to 4 weeks, let's say 15th February, my target is to complete everything by the March 10th is I'm targeting. Maybe you guys can add 1 week or maybe 10 days more. Okay, but I'll take the longer sessions on Saturday. Then only it will be possible for me to wind up the things by the March 10th.
At the same time on
All
weekend?
hours. Weekend only. Longer sessions only are
At the
Saturday
same
and then
time?
Sunday.
I mean, at the same time? Or that
Yeah, same time maybe little vary. I'll inform what is the time and then when we can. I'll inform the time maybe 3 days ahead of time so that we can plan it.
Thank you. It answered my question.
Okay.
Only one last question from my end. Can you explain high level about yourself? Or Narsi? Like if someone asks about the tutor, right, instructor.
Yeah. Okay. So my name is Narsi. I have 11.6 years of experience. 11.6 years of experience on various things. In the sense, my expertise is on application development and on application security. Now, I'm working as a cloud architect, meaning my designation is associate architect, and my practice is cloud and DevOps. And also we are starting the DevSecOps as well in our office. So I'm taking care about those DevSecOps operations and all. So out of this DevOps and then DevSecOps and then cloud, I'm architecting the cloud solutions, architecting the cloud solutions for the various clients. For example, they came up with the problem of the on-premise solution, on-premise problem, then we need to think about, analyze, and then provide the proper solutions with the POC sometimes and all. Apart from this, trainings to the team, and then guiding the team, and then solving the issues to the team. And now, out of my interest, I still do the coding. So this is in brief about me.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks
Thanks
for
a lot. Yeah.
And
Any
sir,
more questions?
Yes, sir. And this course is helpful in the Java real-time project
100%.
or any other Kubernetes required like security and all.
Security and all is a different level. But what we are doing, we are, at least I'm talking about the Java guys point of view. So almost the security is now providing by the application level. So if you can see here, this microservices architecture, of course we know. So security is, we are already providing it each and every service level. That is the application security. And coming to this container security, meaning the cluster security. First question number one, answer for the question number one. Yes, in this Kubernetes course, I'll deploy the microservices, which helps for the both the guys, DevOps guys, and then the Java real-time project guys. And these microservices are now developing by the Java real-time project guys. So those services I will take and then deploy. What are microservices and all? Maybe DevOps guys don't know. I'll explain what are microservices, why we have chosen the microservices deployment. Because once you go with your resume to the market, if they will ask what are microservices and how we can deploy, what is the complexities in microservices, then we will show our white face to them, right? So that is not the case here. So DevOps engineers also should have to know about the microservices architecture, microservices principles, characteristics. So we'll deploy the microservices architecture in our Kubernetes cluster. And answer for the question number two, how about the security? Security here is applying at the application level. But when we deploy this application inside our cluster, then security at the cluster is required to apply. So in order to apply the security here, we will use the TLS SSL concepts and then apply the security here. So these TLS and SSL concept and security will be provided by the framework called Istio. There is a sidecar pattern. So Istio will provide this security and other infrastructure also required for this microservices deployment, this ISTO. So, but here without ISTO, I'll tell the microservices deployment. ISTO I would cover. But answer for your question is ISTO is the right framework for securing the microservices and providing the microservices infrastructure. This is a framework I'm talking about. Here, what we'll do without framework, we'll deploy, so that we came to know the softness and hardness in the deployment process. Then later, if you can go with the ISTO, it will be very easy. You don't need to do anything. ISTO will take care of everything. So, but ISTO is out of this course. Maybe in future, I have the plans to conduct the sessions on ISTO as well. But right now, it is out of the scope. Am I answered?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Sir,
Any
can
more
you go
questions?
back to the previous diagram, that structure?
Yeah, you mean the pipeline?
Oh,
This one?
yes, yes, sir. So can you share this and also explain, give a high level overview, like how is this
Obviously,
working with?
obviously, that is what I need to definitely have to explain for the DevOps folks. I'll share this architecture, we'll share this diagram, and then how it will be deployed and all we'll discuss. We are at the day one, right? So 100% I'll discuss, but probably tomorrow I will discuss what are microservices and what are the microservices ecosystem, meaning how the microservices can be managed using the ecosystem and how we can deploy them with pipeline. How many pipelines we have to write? What is the best practice for us? What is the Kubernetes architecture? Sorry, what is the Jenkins architecture at least to handle these many microservices load on the pipelines? So these are all the things we'll discuss. Tomorrow I'll discuss. Okay.
And at what time the videos will be uploaded? If you miss any class, right? So we want to go through the.
Yeah, right now what is happening is actually expectation, and of course there is a gap as well. So right now the videos are uploading every day evening in between, if I understand correctly, evening 6 to 9 p.m. or 10 p.m. evening 6 to 10 p.m. they are uploading. Why? Because there is a separate person for us to upload the videos, and he is reaching out to the office in evening time. But our sessions are happening morning only.
Yes.
So expectation is these need to be uploaded by the 12 p.m. Since starting of the DevOps course and in the other courses, I'm struggling this, or I'm discussing with them. Probably these might get resolved. I'm not sure. But right now the videos are uploading every day in between 6 p.m. to 10 p.m.
Soft copies also, right? Along with that.
Soft copies will be given it only once, meaning okay, so we will have the classroom like this. So I will add you all the folks to the classroom. So this is the classroom, and all the documents will be there in the classroom. Soft copies will be uploaded only once, meaning at once I'll upload. For example, these are all the soft copies. So what is services types and RBAC and deployment. So likewise, topic wise, I will upload the documents in the classroom. You guys need to add here so that you will access this classroom material. But the videos will be uploaded to the drive, your Gmail drive, or whatever the email you will give at the time of registration. For that drive, the videos will be uploaded, whereas the materials will be uploaded to the classroom. This is my job. Uploading the materials to the classroom is my job, and uploading the videos to the email drive is the backend team job. Got it? Yeah. Any more questions for me?
Yeah, sir.
So we will get the microservices code also for practice, right?
Yes. Microservices code also will share.
Sir, I'm from programming background. I'm totally new to this container and cloud. With this, with the introduction that you are going to give as part of Kubernetes, can I still continue this course, or should I wait for your Docker? Should I finish your Docker sessions first and I have to attend this Kubernetes session?
Yeah. So my the best suggestion is always require the container management tool as the prerequisite for us. So we can, meaning first to go through these Docker videos or Docker and all, then come to the Kubernetes sessions. And as you are from the programming background, if I'll explain these three concepts, if you will able to understand, then you can continue rather waiting for the next batch. Of course, later you can go through this Docker videos and all. There are two options. First option is coming from the Docker, meaning learn the Docker and then come back to Kubernetes. That may take a little time. And the next is continue with this batch and parallelly go through the Docker, because we can only the Docker image part we will use in this Kubernetes, and rest of all the concepts, 90% of the concepts are definitely new for all the folks. Even they know the Docker, 10% only we will use Docker. Of course, that is the heart only, but 10% of the Docker we will use, and 90% of the Kubernetes concepts are again new for everyone who attends the Docker as well. So take your decision here. If you could be able to manage by attending, by understanding these three concepts and then continue with this gates, you can continue. Otherwise, go with the Docker preparation and then come back and then join here. It's up to you.
Okay, sir. How long the videos, how long the videos are accessible to us?
So actually, I have not discussed this point. Usually, into two times, we will make these videos are available into two times the duration when we complete. For example, let's say in 1 month, 4 weeks, we completed this Kubernetes. Then the videos will be available for the next month as well. So 2 months it will be available. So on this question, let me talk to backend team and then come back to you. Meaning how long we'll provide these videos. Okay, because this is 3 to 4 weeks, hardly 1 month. Meaning the videos will be available for the next 1 month or next 2 months. I'll come with that one. Okay, fine. Any more questions for me?
I have a question. Maybe it is a dumb question, but so out of the total subject of Kubernetes, so how much of percentage we are going to cover in the ocean of Kubernetes total subjects? So
okay, 90% of the Kubernetes, meaning in this course, let us say this course is Kubernetes session is 100%. So 10% will discuss on the container management, image and all, image layers, how the image will be framed and how it will be transported and all. And rest of the 90% of the course will discuss the Kubernetes, and Kubernetes 100%, meaning entire Kubernetes. There were a lot of concepts also. So around 80% of the real-time Kubernetes concepts will cover here. Remaining 20% is not covering here, because remaining 20% are like IST and some other patterns. Meaning every project, maybe they will have their own set of tools, own architecture, own preferences as well, that we definitely can't meet. But 80% of the commonality in all the projects definitely can be addressed here.
great, it answered my question. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Sir, I'm totally new to AWS as well. For this course, should I have a AWS account? How much it is going to charge?
Okay, so AWS account and then how much it is going to charge, this question, let me answer. One moment with these, one moment, just let me open the missions support matrix. This is the mission support matrix. So for this, this is Kubernetes master, Kubernetes worker 2, and Kubernetes storage server. 4 servers we required. And in these 4 servers, one server, each and every server cost around 0.0496 per hour. Because we can stop and then we can start it. When we stop the machines, they won't charge. They charge for only the storage. Most of the charge we can cut down when we stop it. And then when again we start it while we are doing the practice. But per hour, $0.0496 is what it is incurring for us. So if that is the case, then we have the assume 4 servers. 4 servers. 4 servers in the sense, per hour, this is the cost, maybe 80 INR if we can take. So per hour, 16 rupees. This Kubernetes only per hour, 16 rupees we need to bear. If you work for 8 hours, it might be different cost, 4 hours, different cost, but hourly 16 rupees we need to spend. Got it? Huh? And yes, account should be opened. When account will be opened, then only we will be able to create these machines and all.
Understand, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Any more questions?
Hello.
Yes, Naveen. Yes, Naveen, go ahead.
Sir, actually, you have shared the backend code. We are getting error. Can you check and confirm in group once again?
Sure. I will check it. Yesterday, most of the folks were reported that. I'll check it and then re-push it.
We have discussed on while we are doing Maven clean package or Maven clean install, it's getting errors.
Yes. I have seen the screenshots. Let me double check in my local and then let me again upload it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. That's all from my side. Yeah.
One small
Okay.
doubt. Sir. Will you
Yes.
discuss about cron job as well with respect to pods?
No. This is really the high level concepts. Cron jobs, running the cron. It's high level in the sense it's a small thing only. Small thing only, you know. But the concept around it is little high. Configuration is simple. Cron job configuration is very simple.
Yeah.
But concept around it is little lengthier. Meaning by considering the course content and then the course completion, duration and all, I may not guarantee for this one.
Okay.
But if you have interest, if you have, then I can guide you with the documents or the other links as well, how to do this.
And so one small question, sir. Regarding that clarification, like outside the class, like any email we have to send, or how can we get clarification?
No. There is a group actually, Telegram. So there is a Telegram. In Telegram, I'll create one group for this Kubernetes.
Okay.
So whatever the doubt related to this Kubernetes, you can ask there.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, folks. Thanks for your participation. And let us continue the session from tomorrow onwards. Don't think these are the demos, but tomorrow I will start the concept. First, tomorrow I'll explain the microservices architecture, how microservices will work, how we have to automate the microservices. These concepts I'll discuss tomorrow. Then we'll jump into the course content discussion, meaning the content discussion, like what is Kubernetes, then we'll jump into this one. Okay. And this Saturday also, let us have the longer session because we need to complete the installation and then setup we need to complete. So let us plan for a longer session this Saturday. Fine. Thanks a lot. Stopping my screen share for now and then see you tomorrow at the same time. Thanks.